All right, y'all, welcome back. Today we got the week 9 recap. We'll be looking at some of the week's biggest winners and biggest losers, and then we'll look at my top 10 rankings as well. Another crazy week, a lot of big games, a lot of stuff that's went down here, especially with the coaching carousel and people getting fired left and right. So, going to be interesting end of the year. We'll start off here. Biggest winners from week 9. My first biggest winner is Texas A&M. Obviously, A&M went into Death Valley there and really put it on LSU 49-25, I believe, was the final. I really think A&M, even though they were 7-0 going into this game, I still think they really needed this one just from a kind of respect standpoint across the country. I know they're still, a program that hadn't had a lot of success on the road until recently. Now they have the big win, obviously, at Notre Dame early this year and LSU. So A&M's now they're sitting 8-0. Really great position to not only make the SEC championship game, but obviously get into the playoffs and hopefully make a run there too. So, great win for Elko and the Aggies. They're in prime position here, looking at the final stretch of the year. My second winner, I went with Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss got the big win there in Norman. So now Ole Miss is a one-loss team, and the remainder of their schedule, you have South Carolina, Florida, and Mississippi State are the only conference games remaining. So with one loss, honestly, they can probably still afford to even drop one more, and I think they'd still get in at 10-2. So Ole Miss looks like a lot for the playoff. On top of that, obviously Kiffin's a top candidate for Florida, and now LSU just came open with Brian Kelly getting fired. So he's probably going to have a lot of leverage there. He's about to make himself a lot of money, so it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. But congrats to Lane Kiffin. He's living right now. My third winner is Ryan Niblett. This is the Texas punt returner. This is the third week in a row that this guy has pretty much single-handedly saved Texas season. I know against Oklahoma, he ran one back at the end of the game to kind of put the game away. And then 2 weeks ago against Kentucky, he was pretty much their entire offense, got them into scoring position twice, and that's how they ended up getting almost all their points. And then this past week against Mississippi State, they're down 7 with a little over a minute to go, and he returns another one to the house to tie the game. Then obviously Texas goes into overtime there and wins it. So I'm not sure how hard it is to just punt the ball out of bounds, but hey, I'm not a coach. So I guess that's why I'm on YouTube with 4 subscribers. So whatever, but I don't know. They keep kicking it to him, and he keeps making plays. So good job there by Ryan Niblett. My biggest losers of the week. The first one is obviously Mississippi State. I mean, man, what are we doing? They lost, I think, 16 straight now or 15 straight conference games going into this one. This was their 16th loss. They had 17-point lead with 12 minutes to go. They actually had a stop on a fourth down that would have gave them the ball. On the Texas maybe 40 or 30-yard line. They had already been close to field goal position. It should have been ball game. But one of their defensive linemen committed a stupid penalty. He got a roughing the passer on Arch there that extended that drive. Texas goes down, scores a couple times, just huge momentum shifts, and then obviously they return the punt. They get to overtime. Even Arch actually he got concussed, I believe. We'll see his availability for this coming week, but then the Texas backup quarterback comes in and drops a dime in the back of the end zone to beat you, and just a terrible, terrible loss there for Mississippi State. So that is really unfortunate. We'll see if they can finally figure out a way to win a SEC game here, closing out the year. My next biggest loser is Brian Kelly. This is actually before he got fired when I made this list, but now that he got fired, that's even more relevant, I guess. Kelly, a lot of people when he first got to LSU were already kind of questioning the culture fit, if you believe in that or not. Personally, I don't know. Personally, I feel like, if you win, you fit. If not, you don't. But he talked a lot. I know when he came from Notre Dame, he talked about how the reason he wanted to leave Notre Dame was to come to a place where he felt he had the resources to win a national championship, and obviously that did not work out. And then this offseason, he had made the quotes about how they're taking receipts, and then they'll see you in the national championship game, and did not work. I mean, I guess he got a $50 million payday, so it could be worse. But just not a good run there for Brian Kelly and LSU. My third biggest loser of the week is Missouri. So Missouri lost a close one to Vanderbilt there. I think they actually caught a Hail Mary like inside the 1 to close the game. But, I felt like this was a game that in order for Missouri to make the playoff, they really needed to win this one. So they're a 2-loss team now. Rest of their schedule, they got a bye week this week. Then they got A&M coming to town. They'll get Mississippi State, and then they have Oklahoma as well. But I don't really see Missouri winning out there. And on top of that, they also lost their quarterback. Bo Prabula went down, and it looks like he'll be out for. I think there was a report that just came out that said there's an outside chance he might return towards the end of the regular season, but definitely going to miss some significant time. So now they're technically on their third string quarterback coming into the year. Their original starter also went down for the year in week one. So on top of that, obviously Drink is a candidate for several coaching jobs with LSU, Florida open. So just a lot of things working against Missouri. That's a tough week for Missouri. Moving on here, we'll finish up. We'll look at my Week 10 rankings. These aren't my power ratings. This is kind of how I'm doing it, resume based. I guess you could say. So number one, I feel like you could put these top three really in any order. I was really close to putting actually A&M one, Indiana two, and Ohio State three, just based on resume alone. But I went ahead, stuck with Ohio State at one. They are the defending national champ there. They don't really have a great win. I guess their best win is either Texas or Washington, depending on how you value those teams. I will say one thing keeping them at number one is even though they don't have a great win, they have been pretty dominant in most of their games. So, undefeated defending national champs. So we'll keep them at one there. At two with A&M, obviously we just talked about they had the huge win there in Death Valley. Aggies 8-0. We'll see if they can maybe run the table to finish the year out. Three with Indiana. Indiana beat UCLA by 50 this week. I think the final score was 56-6. So another big win for them. We'll see how this top three shakes out, whether I'll end up keeping Ohio State at one throughout the remainder of the year. I don't know if Indiana has enough left on the schedule to really make any more of a statement than they already have. So we'll see how that shakes out. But at four, with Alabama, obviously they just barely squeaked by South Carolina, but they still have probably more quality wins than everybody there. They're heading to a bye now this week. Five is Georgia. They were off this week, but they did lose the head-to-head to Bama, but then they beat my number 6 team, Ole Miss. So a couple one-loss SEC teams there stacked up in the middle. At 7, I still got Miami, another one loss. It was to just a one loss Louisville team. So not necessarily a bad loss. They still have a handful of quality wins. We'll keep them there at 7. They were actually, I think they were down to Stanford late in the second quarter, and they ended up blowing them out. So they flipped the switch there and took care of that one. At 8, I went Vanderbilt. Obviously, they had the big win against Missouri this past week. So we'll see. They have a big one. They are going to Texas this coming week. So we will see if the Opavi and the Vanderbilt Commodores can continue winning there. At 9 with BYU, they are undefeated. I didn't have them in my top 10 last week, but they did back-to-back wins against Utah and Iowa State, so some impressive wins there. I think will boost them in. At 10, I have Oregon. I would probably pick Oregon to beat several of these teams ahead of them, but at the same time, I don't think their resume really justifies them being any higher. Their best win right now is against a Penn State team, and I don't really know, what else they have to, hang their hat on. They lost at home game to Indiana by 10, and looking at the schedule, they still have Iowa, Washington, and USC. So there's some losable games there for Oregon, and I would be concerned if I'm an Oregon fan and we drop one more. I would be concerned about our playoff hopes because I don't know if you'll have a great win that could especially if you're comparing some like a 10-2 Oregon versus some of these 10-2 SEC teams and other things like that. Noticeably missing Georgia Tech. I was trying to figure out a way to fit them in here, but I just kind of saying they don't have great wins. They're squeaking by a few guys. They did beat Syracuse pretty handily this week, but some previous weeks, Wake Forest and some of those games, they're just kind of squeaking by. But they're around the outside looking in. Texas Tech, Cincinnati, a couple Big 12 teams there, but we'll see. We'll see how the season finishes up. Going to be an exciting final stretch here. Got a lot of good conference championship game races and playoff pushes. So appreciate y'all watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. It's a new channel, so trying to get this thing off the ground a little bit. But appreciate y'all watching. We'll try to get another video out next week. Thank y'all.